When 6-year-old Desiree Watson's wrists were too small for handcuffs, police officers placed them around her biceps. As if temper tantrums were abnormal, she was arrested, held for fingerprints, photographed, and charged with a felony and 2 misdemeanors in 2007. Desiree has not been the only child affected by the school-to-prison pipeline, and many more will continue to be affected until we fight for our students. Fueled by zero-tolerance policies and the overwhelming presence of police officers in schools, overburdened counselors, and high-stakes tests that stress teachers, tens of millions of public school students are being suspended, expelled, and arrested. Black students are being suspended and expelled at a rate 3 times greater than white students, while Black and Latino students account for 70% of police referrals. Not only is the STPP associated with racial discrimination, students with disabilities are twice as likely to be suspended than their non-disabled peers, and LGBT students are 1.4 times more likely to face suspension than their straight peers. America's educators are harboring negative assumptions about the ability, aspirations, and work ethic of their students, especially poor students of color, based on the assumption that they and their families do not value education. Critical race theory explains the white supremacy and systems of hierarchy that have locked communities of color into marginalized positions over time. They have been built into America's political and legal structure to seem normal. I can assure you, nothing about the STPP should be labeled as normal. Future educators need to have de-bias training so that school administrators and teachers' eyes are open to what implicit bias is, how it affects us in our decision-making, and introduce known strategies to counteract it. Not only do we need de-bias training, but as former U.S. Secretary of Education Richard Riley has said, America's teachers should look like America. If this were to happen, 1 in 4 educators would be people of color, and 1 in 5 would come from a home where a language other than English is spoken. It is imperative that we recruit individuals from a variety of backgrounds who have connections to students and communities of color. Tallulah, Louisiana has taken action by campaigning to convert a former juvenile detention facility into a community college and regional educational center that was originally built in an impoverished African American community. If the lawyers, activists, parents, and youth are successful, it will literally reverse the school-to-prison pipeline in Louisiana by reducing reliance on incarceration, expanding educational opportunity, and helping to create a more sustainable community. Philadelphia Police School Diversion Program is also dismantling the STPP by changing policy and practice to reduce the number of students arrested in Philadelphia schools and referred to the juvenile justice system. They are addressing disparities in student arrests, suspensions, and expulsions, but most importantly are providing access to community-based services for at-risk youth and their families to address underlying needs. The answer is not handcuffs. America needs more counselors in schools, and educators need patience with their students. Schools should always be a safe environment where educators want to better their students by reinforcing positive behavior and working with the police to limit arrests. We need more counselors, not cops.